Thomas Nelson is replacing their Preaching Bible series with the Maclaren Series. It's the same Bible, but with maps added, and it's now available in multiple covers, including genuine leather, goatskin, and leather soft in brown and black. So that's what I'm reviewing today. I previously reviewed the King James version of this, and now I'm going to review the New King James. The New King James has everything the King James had, except it's even better. And what makes it better, in my opinion, is the New King James layout. So here is the goatskin. This is Premier Collection, and it has perimeter stitching, 5 spine ribs, spine hubs, gold stamping on the spine. Looks really elegant. See 3 ribbons, satin ribbons in black, red, and blue. Black head tailbands. All these are Smythe sewn. This one is leather lined with edge line with a gold gilt line. And then we have presentation page, and it says Maclaren here. Now it's named for Maclaren. I'll show you. Named for Victorian era preacher Alexander Maclaren. Now this is not a study Bible with Maclaren's notes. It's just named for him. They wanted to use some names for their naming conventions, and they chose a preacher. It can be a little confusing because some people think that it's going to have his notes or his study system or something like that, and it has no relation to him whatsoever. It just shares his name. 36 GSM paper. This is excellent paper, some of my favorite paper in any Bible anywhere. Highly opaque, bright white in color, and as you can see, we have blue highlights throughout. Paper is easy to turn. The tab there is just a little bit stiff out of the box, but it will break in. And if you can see right here, which is why I was wanting to show you this one, we have an overcast line all the way down through there, overcast stitching. The goatskin is the only one that has that. Other than that, they're all the same except for the liners and the covers. But we have 10.5 point font. This is the same font as in the Preaching Bible. It was labeled as 11.5 point. It looked a little bit small for 11.5 point. They remeasured, and now they're calling it a 10.5 point, which I agree with, and I'm glad they did that. It's more accurate now. We have verse by verse with blue highlights for the section headings, for the chapter numbers, for the book and chapter number in the header, for the verse numbers, for the pilot verse numbers in the references, double column with references in a single column in the bottom. That's basically it. This is a black letter edition. But now what makes this better, in my opinion, than the KJV layout, and I wish that all KJVs would have this layout, is that it has poetry set in a poetic setting. That looks good to me. I like that. And they're broken in good places. And if it continues the previous line, it's indented and the first word is in a lowercase. If it's the next line, even if it continues the previous sentence, like this one, but it's still the next line in the poetry, it's in uppercase. That's the New King James convention. Now this still has italics for supplied words. It does not have Old Testament quotes in a different setting. Personal letters are indented, so they stand apart from everything else. I like this. The New King James is my favorite setting. I like that. Looks good. You can tell at a glance what something is. I like that. I want all King James to follow this, to look exactly like this. So, black letter edition. We even have a letter in, a couple letters in the book of Acts. It's just easy to ignore, easy to miss because of the formatting. There we go. There's a letter in the book of Acts. It stays open fairly well. That little hump is a little bit stiff, but not so bad that it's in the way. I don't see the overcast stitching in the back. It's only in the front. 8 pages in the back for notes. The KJV did not have this. I like paper for notes. I wish they would include more. Not to make the Bible much bigger, but still. And then we have the Zondervan maps. I love the colors on these maps. I'm glad they include them. I would like to see even more maps, and I would like to see a map index. So that's what the Maclaren looks like, and that's what the goatskin looks like. Another of my favorites is the genuine leather. It's a stamped green, but it looks really good. And then we have a dark brown with perimeter stitching, 5 ribs or hubs with outlined in gold, so some gold decoration on there. Now, the goat skin is very flexible, but you can still hold it open. Still flops a little bit, but not too bad. The genuine leather, you can hold it open a lot easier. It's a little bit flexible, but not overly flexible. And then we have a vinyl liner paste down, and it looks like it might have reinforced tape there. I don't know that for a fact, but that looks like it could be reinforced tape. I don't know, maybe. 3 ribbons, brown, red, blue, with brown head tailbands. And everything else is the same except for the overcast stitching. This one does not include it. Other than that, it's the same. Now this one stays open really easy. No hump there, but goat skin's not too bad either, but this is a little bit flatter. Easy to use. I love preaching from these. I love reading from them. I typically don't read from verse by verse, but I like this paper and print quality so much that I'll read from this. It's not too big and heavy to carry. I've been using the KJV as my preaching Bible, but when I can get away with preaching from New King James, but I'll also preach from this one too. I don't just preach from KJV, but I'm more used to KJV. And then there's the paper and the maps. And it's only because I stumble a little bit when I'm trying to read something that reads a little differently than I'm expecting. And then we have the black leather soft, which looks like goat skin. Not quite the same as that goat skin, but still it looks like goat skin that I've seen from other companies. And then we have the 5 spine hubs, and then a little bit more decoration, but not quite as decorated as some of the recent editions I've seen from them. This one has a paper paste down liner, and everything else is the same. Now the paper liner, it's a little bit stiffer, this cover is, and it doesn't want to stay open as well, so that's going to take a little bit more breaking in. There we are in Exodus, is pretty good. So everything else about it is the same. And then we have the brown leather soft, which I like the design of this one. I like two-tone, but not everybody does, but that's a good looking two-tone to me. The texture and the colors look good. I like those, how those colors blend. And then there's the spine. And then brown paper paste down liner. And then everything else is the same. So I love this series. And this one has 2 brown ribbons, dark brown and a regular medium brown. Yeah, I love this series. This is one of my favorite Bible series of all time. I have gone on record saying that, and I'll say it again. One of the best Bible series ever made, in my opinion. Simply because it's good size. The font is just so readable. Lots of white space in there. Line matching. Good dark font, but not so bold that it hurts my eyes. White paper. Very little show-through. Show-through is minimal. Very, very minimal. I'm very sensitive to show-through. And I can use this paper more than I can use other paper. So I like that. So let's compare it to a few other Bibles. So first is the Preaching Bible, the one that this one replaces. Now this one is a calfskin with an edge line liner. The edge lining on this one is lined with heavy-duty vinyl. I don't know how long that will last, but it seems to be hold up fairly well. It's a little bit stiff for me, but it does stay open fairly well. You just have to get it in the middle of Genesis somewhere. But let's get these out of the way here. The genuine leather is very similar, and I'll show that they are the same Bible. Page 720. So you can see here they are the same. There's how they compare. So same text block, same thickness, same paper. They are the same Bible. This one just says Preaching Bible instead of Maclaren and does not include maps. Next is the large print wide margin New King James. This is available in several covers. I'm comparing the Premier Collection. So here's how they compare. Same thickness, same height, but different width. And the reason for that is because this one adds wide margins on the outside. Now, they are the same font. The layout is tweaked a little bit in the wide margin, and the wide margin includes book introductions, so that makes the pages off a little bit. So it's not the same pagination. So there's the book introduction. And then also the wide margin has red highlights instead of blue. My eye's kind of drawn to the red, to be honest. I do like the blue. I like the blue a lot, but I tend toward that red. Mostly, I guess it depends on what people can see easily, because I have a few friends that are colorblind, and they have issues with one color over another. So here's how they compare. They're similar enough that they can be used together. I like that one. Next is the verse-by-verse center column reference in Premier Collection. It's a little bit thinner, slightly smaller footprint. Very slightly smaller, if much. And then what sets this one apart is that it has red highlights with center column reference, and this also has book introductions. So there's our book introduction there. This one has a concordance and maps. So here's how they compare. It's hard to choose between these. If you like center column reference, then I recommend this one. But the other has a little bit better layout for Psalms because it has more line space. You're looking about 8 to 10 words here, where this one has 6 or 7. So this one has a little bit more breathing room in the text. And that verse by verse is also available in imitation leather. So there's how it compares to the imitation leather soft. It also has the red highlights. So here's how they compare. To me, it really just comes down to center column reference versus references in the footer. And then if you want the concordance, because this one also has the concordance. It's also available in brown leather soft. So here's how the brown leather soft compares to each other. The Maclaren and the center column reference. Verse by verse. So there's their spines. And then last, I'm going to compare the New King James Topaz from Cambridge. Now this one is a calf split leather with paste down liner, and that does look to be reinforced. Here's how they compare. Footprint, the Topaz is thinner. Slightly taller, but not much. Nah, just thinner. A little bit more overhang on the leather. Now the Topaz has 28 GSM endopaque paper. It's a more expensive paper, and it's thinner. And here's how they compare. The Topaz has no poetic setting at all. So here's Psalms versus Ezekiel with some poetry. And it has red highlights, references in the outer margin. Here's how they compare. And this one has a concordance and maps. So that's a look at the New King James Maclaren Series in black goatskin, brown genuine leather, and black and brown leather soft. All four are good additions If you wanted to buy something cheap and have it rebound, or buy something cheap to use until it wears out, the leather soft are amazing. They're around $36. I've seen the Premier Collection goatskin on Amazon for about $100, or on Christian Book for around $130. These prices might change by the time you hear this. And then the genuine leather, I've seen it for about $65, if I'm remembering correctly. So all four are good choices. I highly recommend this. If you're looking for a Bible that is easy to read, has great paper that's easy to turn, and you're okay with spending a few extra seconds finding the references in the footer, and you don't need a concordance, then the Maclaren is the best Bible you can get. That's my favorite option. Thomas Nelson provided these in exchange for an honest review. I will leave some links in the notes where you can make a purchase if you're interested, and where you can see the written review at BibleBuyingGuide.com with a lot more detail about these Bibles. Thanks for watching.